I'll introduce myself, Jack Llewellyn with the Durango Chamber of Commerce. And yes, I am home, and you might hear our cockatiel in the background chirping away. Sorry about that. And sets the ambiance, right? Thank you, everyone, for attending today's Eggs and Issues. We really appreciate our new city manager, Jose, county manager, Chuck, for being here with us. Thank you guys for all your incredible work throughout this difficult year of 2020. We'll be getting into your presentations here shortly. First off, I would like to thank, and got a Bank of Colorado hat. There's my sponsorship plug. But in all sincerity, thank you so much to Bank of Colorado. They have been an incredible leader and supporter, especially this year with COVID. So thank you, Greg Bain, and all your wonderful folks at Bank of Colorado. Continue your sponsorship with us, and also helping out with our scholarship program. Also, thank you to Durango Area Association of Realtors as our co-sponsor for Eggs and Issues. I appreciate you guys very, very much. A reminder that we do have scholarship programs available. If you're a chamber member and impacted obviously by COVID with revenues, please reach out to us. We have scholarships available to help cover your membership dues. You can reach out to myself, reach out to Rita, reach out to Kim, who I'll be talking about here in just a second, who's on board with us, and yeah, find out more information about that. A little behind the scenes, what we're working on. Working on the 5-star accreditation program. We supported that as a pilot program that was initiated from the Grand Junction Chamber of Commerce. It went to the governor's office on Friday. We did have 72 responses, and people filling out the information through the link, providing input for the framework. We should have information tomorrow with an announcement from the governor's office and the Colorado Health Department on Monday. And then we also have the rewards program. If you're shopping local, which we all obviously are encouraged to do right now, support our local small businesses and restaurants ordering takeout. And the I just looked at Tim, the rewards program Tim Walter brought to the chamber, and we're very, very proud to sponsor that. So you can go to downtowndurango.org, photocopy, take a picture of your receipt, send it in. Based on different levels you spend at local retail establishments, you can get rewards cards back for your support of local businesses. So we've got that. Also, I'm asking everyone, if you have questions, put it in the Q&A function. Again, the Q&A, and we will answer the questions at the end of both presentations to give both Jose and Chuck the opportunity to get through their presentations. So feel free to put the questions in or wait till the end, because maybe the question will be answered throughout the presentations. And I would be remiss if I did not give a huge shout out to Rita Simon. Rita has been with the Chamber of Commerce, 21 plus years, and she still is going to retire at the end of this month. And Rita has been my right-hand person for my almost 14 years tenure here at the Chamber of Commerce. So Rita, on behalf of myself and everybody that you've been involved with and helping all of our members, thank you for your incredible service, your commitment, and Rita, you rock, and you're lucky that we can't have our awards event in person, but I'm going to get you back. So, and with that, we also want to welcome Kim Euler to our team. Kim Euler will be the new Rita. Kim will be taking over Rita's position as the chamber manager. So Kim, thank you for being here on our Eggs and Issues call, and welcome aboard. So with all of that, I am going to shift gears. Welcome, Jose Madrigal. Thank you for being here. You took over as city manager in probably one of the most trying, difficult times, but I have to, honestly, your leadership honestly has been just wonderful to see. And you didn't just put your toe in the water, you went head first and dove in. So welcome again to City of Durango. Welcome to your position. And with that, I will I'll mute myself, take myself off screen, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Jose. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jack. Really appreciate those kind words. Definitely very excited to be here, even during what has been a challenging time for sure. And let me get my screen up and make sure that it's sharing. Gotcha. Okay. So yes, first and foremost, just want to thank everyone. I was looking at the attendees that are attending this great event, and it's just good to see a lot of familiar names. Feels good that even at the very beginning, I was able to really get out and meet with a lot of you. And so if I haven't met with you, please know that I am on my way to meet with you. Just getting out in the community and meeting the community, local business leaders is very important coming into a new community. And just, to the whole Durango in general, just thank you so much for the warm welcome. My family's been just excited to be here. It's been a really great step. We're just so happy to be here and to be part of the community. So with that being said, I'll start my presentation and just ask for a little bit of patience. The look back on 2020 was a little bit challenging for me, seeing as I started here. My first day here in Durango was September 21st. I did start virtually for 1 week on September 14th. So having a little bit of a limited knowledge base on the past, but we'll go through and talk a little bit about some of the things that we've been doing, some of the major milestones that I think that we've been able to accomplish as a team and as an organization with the City Council, and really excited to continue through this. And with that, also want to thank the City Council and the Mayor for the trust in me and appointing me with this position. Really appreciate that, and something that I will continue to work extremely hard for them and the community. So a look back at 2020, it goes without saying, COVID-19 has radically altered how the city does business. It's really changed everything in a lot of ways in how we're able to go about the day-to-day operations, and really caused a shift in where we would go. Just like everyone else that's dealing with this, our life has become Zoom meetings. It's become Teams meetings that we also use here at the city. And one of the biggest things that I think you lose from that is really to be able to kind of really establish some really solid relationships. And I'd say that because just kind of coming from my part of it, when you meet people face to face, there's a lot of relationships that you're able to go and have some of the small talk, if you will, that I think really goes a long way. And I think that helps within the community and businesses. And one of the questions I had received when I first got here was, well, how does it work doing it virtually? And I was like, it's difficult. We get on Zoom meetings, we get on Teams meetings, and it's, as soon as that time hits, the time's over, everybody closes their screen off, and, we move on to the next meeting. And it really hurts not being able to kind of develop some of those relationships. And, one of the things I miss with the employees here is being able to go into the office and just kind of talk with them, and then seeing in the office, seeing where they went to school, seeing pictures of their family, and really being able to start some of those small talk and conversations that really solidifies a business or a really good relationship with the employees. But I think we can take that and use it with the community, right? Even though we have some of those established relationships with the community, it's hard to continue that over a Zoom. It's hard to continue that through Zoom meetings and through meetings that are virtually. So I think that's one of the biggest things that has really put us kind of a little behind the eight ball this year. When you look at city government, it's about relationships. It's about relationship building, working together for the good of the community, for the good of the residents, for the good of the businesses, for the good of our visitors. And that can be very difficult to do when you don't have that ability to have a lot of those face-to-face group meetings like this, where it's been really awesome to be in a big auditorium and be able to talk to each one of you. So that's one of the biggest things I think that's COVID-19. It's been a challenge. It's been, there economically, we have taken a little bit of a bump. I think it was 4.5% is kind of what our sales tax is looking like down this year. So that's something that we'll continue to deal with. And it looks like next year we're budgeting and predicting about an 8.5% decrease in sales tax. So it is going to be some rough times, but from what I'm hearing, I think that, by the summer, hopefully we'll start seeing some recovery kind of as these vaccines roll out. While it's going to take time, that hopefully in the summer, as the tourism boom comes for us, that hopefully we'll be in a position to be able to start capitalizing a little bit on that and coming through. So a look back, I think, one of the biggest things that when I got here, at least for sure, when we did a tour in July, was looking at the bump outs for the restaurants as I was a candidate, and just seeing the local business community being able to continue to work and open up during the very early stages of COVID, and seeing what the city staff had done at the very beginning to really make that partnering to help businesses move forward. The bump outs were a very successful program, having the on-site parking for outdoor commerce, really being flexible and allowing temporary signage to really kind of draw in customers so businesses can be successful, looking at different ways of how we could waive fees and payment referrals really helped in, I think, getting everything moving together. And one of the biggest things when I came on that I saw was just really the La Plata Economic Recovery Task Force being placed together. We're as strong as our partnerships, again, is that we are. So having a place where bids working together with the chamber, with the county, with Local First, all of us getting together and working on how do we all succeed really is a great thing that is just really great to be a part of, and really being able to be in a city where we can move out and help businesses go through. So I think that's one of the biggest success, and probably the biggest paramount success that Durango was able to accomplish this year, is really partnering with the businesses to help and have somewhat of a successful summer. I think it depended on the business. Some businesses did really, really well. Some, I think, kind of went right about to where they were. So it was really good to kind of see us being able to pull together and move together and go through it. One of the craziest things is, just from my perspective, is, when I got here in September, we were moving down towards the dial. I think we even got to the protect your neighbor status. And then all of a sudden going right back to red, in a couple of months, I think really shows the fluidity and the need for being flexible, and the partnerships to continue to be strong with the entities and the business entities and our governmental agencies, so that we continue to move forward and try to help our businesses continue to be around to weather through this storm. Another successful big paramount, what I call accomplishment, would be the Urban Renewal Authority creation that was done in May. Definitely looking at ways to take a look at what we're considering Midtown, of ways that we can do public-private partnerships, begin to look at finding ways where we can probably bring some housing back, bring some businesses, local businesses in, really reinvest within our downtown area. And so we're really taking a look at being able to set this up as just a key component that's going to help us as we come out of COVID-19 to really begin bringing in some really good community uses within our city limits, and within this Urban Renewal Authority. I think is going to be an awesome tool in the toolbox to really continue the economic vitality of Durango. We were also able to complete some capital projects. Of course, ribbon cuttings and everything else has been a little bit difficult to do with the COVID restrictions, but 3 big projects that I saw that I was like, it's really great projects that we're able to complete. Needham Connect Phase 2, which was in the installation of bump outs along the length of Columbine Drive. If you look at the top right, you can see the before and after and how much better it looks. Also just a great way to calm traffic, increase safety, and provide more opportunity for some green space in the neighborhood. Lake Nighthorse Swim Beach. That was something that was on the final stages of construction when I was doing a tour here in July, and wow, what an amenity, really done right. An ability for our residents to get out and participate at Lake Nighthorse with some very dedicated areas for them and families to really get out there and enjoy nature. So great amenity to add on, and that's the center picture. And then here at the bottom is the Animas River Trail Extension in Oxbow Park. That's the ribbon cutting there. Great project to go through to extend our trail in a park setting right by the river. I think it's going to be a great amenity as we go through, have a lot of compliments for people being able to continue to extend our trail and really begin to take advantage of a lot of the recreational opportunities that we have that are outdoors. And that's, at this point is critical, and it's always good to be able to offer that to our residents. Looking forward, one of the big things is, and it's not quite 2021, this one, but it is looking forward. It'll be moving forward as we're going through. If you've been paying attention to some of our city council meetings, our city council has kind of branded this Durango Cares public campaign that will really begin seeing a little more momentum as we move forward. But we're looking at doing we're looking at doing business relief fund and seeing what we can do to help our businesses. We had a lot of feedback as we moved into dial level red on businesses that are suffering, and really listening to some of the the suggestions that have been provided to us of what would help the most and what we can do. We heard loud and clear that loans and deferrals weren't something that was going to be able to help as much as really having things that can just help the businesses go through with as much cash in their pocket as we possibly can to help them out. So at our city council meeting on December 15th, there's going to be a few things that we're going to roll out. The first one is our business relief fund, our CARES funding. We'll have the city council appropriate that money so that we can begin giving them out to the applications that we've received. We have about $520,000 to give to local businesses. That number may fluctuate a little bit. We're just finalizing it. It won't go down. It can only go up, but we're pretty sure, at least right now at this point, it's at least $520,000. Our applications closed on December 19th. We received 90 plus applications. We were hoping to give $15,000 grants out as a maximum. We may be able to still do that depending if we get some funding, but right now with the $520,000, that's not going to make it quite to $15,000. But we're definitely looking at those applications and making sure that we're going to be dispersing that money amongst those that have applied to help continue to move businesses, move free. And again, this is money that doesn't need to be paid back. It is a grant. It will allow them to move forward. And we're definitely excited about that portion of the business relief fund, looking at those checks to be mailed out to the businesses or given to the businesses to pick up on December 18th or December 19th. So we're really looking to move fast to get that funding out. The second thing that we'll be rolling out here rather shortly is restaurant delivery fee reimbursement for the next 2 months, understanding that we do have third-party delivery food apps that charge up to about 30% to the restaurant. What we are looking at is being able to help those restaurants and encourage, hopefully, delivery so people can stay home and still enjoy their favorite foods from their favorite restaurants, where the city will reimburse the difference between the 15%, which is about a normal delivery fee from what we've heard, to whatever they're being charged. Restaurants every month can submit those in, and we will reimburse that difference between the 15 and the 30% or 25%, whichever it is, so that the restaurants aren't taking a big hit when delivery comes through, and they can afford to continue to go through delivery, opening up another avenue for their businesses. The third one, and one that I think I'm the most excited about, one of the things that we've heard from the business owners and the restaurants is, if we could just, the water, the sewer, and the trash bills, if there's ways that we can get that, taken care of for the next 3 to 4 months as we kind of roll through this last portion of the Dial Red. We looked at being able to do a utility bill forgiveness program, and we'll have a program for the council to consider and discuss on the 15th that would forgive utility bills for businesses from December 15th through March 31st. We're looking at having 2 different requirements that they'd have to meet. One is that your capacity would have to have been limited by a public health order. And second, that your revenue has decreased more than 25% in the last year. I will say these aren't finalized. These are things that the council is going to consider. So on that utility bill forgiveness program, there could be some modification within those requirements, but we are excited for the ability to be able to offer that to our businesses, and kind of looking at all of these options to be able to give back to our business community without looking at deferrals or payback, but actual real, what we would like to call is real relief to help businesses move forward. All in all, if we put a rough estimate, and some of those are going to be rough, not understanding exactly how many businesses would be able to take advantage of our utility bill forgiveness, this is easily probably around $1.7 to $2 million in economic aid or funding that the city is able to contribute to. And we'll still continue to look for more avenues as we go through. This is just something here in December that we're looking for. We are working with the chamber, the Mike French with La Plata Economic Development Authority, the county, Tim Walsworth, and Dave Woodruff, and looking at possible another round of things that maybe we could do in January. So we're continuing to move forward and having that heavy on our mindset. And that's why I placed it first, because I think that's the most important part from this community. From my vantage point, when I've seen here, is that we're a very much locally driven community, local business driven, local residents driven, and we want to make sure that we can keep as many as we can in business and doing everything we can do to help them. With this, we're also doing on December 17th, we'll be doing a Save Our City Business Relief Forum, where our city council will be inviting business owners and restaurant owners to come to the table and have an open discussion virtually of solutions. Here's kind of, we can present what we've done and really talk to the business owners and the restaurant owners of what are other things, what are other options that maybe we haven't seen, we haven't investigated, that we can pass on and do a really good solution-oriented based forum. And that was, at the request of the city council, who's continuously trying to stay in front of this as much as we can and be helpful. And always looking at, they're always there telling Jose, every stone that you can unturn and look under, please do so. So we'll continue to do this as we move forward into the next year. Another big item looking forward, and we'll be starting this in January, is doing a city council strategic plan development for the city. One of the areas that I think that we can really work together on with the council and staff is developing a city council strategic plan. Revisiting our mission statement. Our mission and our vision statement was approved, I think, around in the mid 90s. So we want to be able to have an opportunity to revisit that within our council to decide and determine if those still ring true for where we are today. Your mission statement really enables why we exist. Our vision is what we want to be. And I think those two are the key paramount for our strategic plan when it's being created, is to know where we're heading, to have that guide light at the end of the tunnel. This is where we want to go. Also take a look at our values. What do we believe in? And values are extremely important in any organization, as you all know, in the business community, that values are, what your organization strives to be, what people must have if they're going to work in your organization, and what we're going to hold each other accountable for. So it's important to get the council to have that buy-off and that input into what are the values for the city of Durango. Lastly, and this is one of the most important parts, is looking at our strategic goals. What is the council's goals for the staff, for us to work for the city? What are those goals that they're going to outline, that are going to go after, that are going to encompass our values, but guide us towards our mission and be founded in our mission statement. And then from there, the staff's going to put together some objectives to accomplish those goals, some specific outcomes, some action plans, and then some performance measures so that we can come back and report our success or areas where we need improvement within our strategic plan to the council and the community. This working document, I always like to call, is like our working contract with the citizens. So when the citizens ask, city, what are you working on? We have a strategic plan that outlines it for all the citizens so they can take a look at, here are the important the goals and the settings and the objectives that we're looking to achieve. And so as council meetings go through and as projects go on, there's really no surprises. Citizens can go look in, businesses can go look in, oh, that's why they're working on this project, because it's on the strategic plan. Another area that we'll be looking at is Durango Mesa Park. We have three things that are going on right now as we talk, or things that are under discussion. In the red circle is some open space purchases that we're going to be doing for Durango Mesa Park, purchasing about 251 acres for $1.5 million, which the foundation is going to use to finance the State Highway 3 intersection improvements. So we'll be looking at doing that early of 2021. The green circle is the State Highway 3 improvements. There's a traffic study and analysis that's underway that's scheduled to be completed in 2021. And our blue circle up to the top right corner is the initial phase of development, which includes a bike park, BMX track, leash dog area, disc golf course, roadway and parking improvements. And we are currently meeting with the foundation and talking about roles and responsibilities to get that underway for 2021. And then I talked a little bit about the Urban Renewal Authority. We are looking for our initial project and hoping to get that underway in 2021. We do have some financial assistance and a streamlined process that'll be available for investment and redevelopment in this area. We think it's a really great location just north of the downtown core. We're looking at infill housing, mixed use, transportation improvements, and public amenities, really continuing to have that area of town and that center of town, that core, really beginning lively and being able to continue to have economic prosperity. And this area does include the 9R admin building and Buckley Park so that we can enable partnerships as those buildings I know are under, as that building is under contract to be sold. I think just hit the market earlier this week. So just want to make sure everyone knows that that is in our URA, and we are, having that open so that we continue to do partnerships so that building can maintain and stay as a key component into our downtown core. And then in our internal operations, we'll be looking at doing some things internally to move our organization forward, looking at doing some more financial transparency and financial goals for us. I know finances has been something that we hit a little bit of a hiccup on, and we want to move forward with. So we'll be looking at doing a 10-year operating budget forecast in conjunction with our capital improvement plan. One thing that I'm big on is Lean Six Sigma, and we'll be deploying that within our organization, starting that so that we can focus on reducing costs and optimizing processes and eliminating waste. I think with the little bit of the downturn that we've had, and probably a little bit of a hard time with the 8.5% sales tax decrease that we're predicting, that it's a good time for us to continue to focus on finding and eliminating waste so that we can continue to be as efficient as possible for the businesses and the taxpayers in our community. We'll also look at doing some efficiencies with some cost allocation methodology within our internal funds, review some of our personnel policies, looking at the creation of a capital projects department. We need more of a holistic approach as we do some of our capital projects to make sure that we're doing as an efficient position as possible and that projects are getting done in a timely manner. We're going to implement programs to review all of our existing contracted services for potential services or potential savings. And finally, we will do a comprehensive review of our benefits plan to make sure that we are in line and we are getting the best value for our dollar. And finally, transparency. One of the big things that was on the questions that I was asked as I was interviewing for this position, and we are looking at enhancing transparency. We have signed a contract with OpenGov Software that once we get up running will allow the citizens at any time of the day to jump on and find out exactly where we're at after every month closes, to see where we're at financially, where we're at on our budget, what checks we've written. It's just a good opportunity for us to kind of open our financial checkbook, if you will, and accounts to the public, so they can always keep an eye and keep a good eye and know where their funding and their tax dollars are being spent. And finally, we will look at starting our 2022 budget public hearing input in June. As we start, that is a little bit earlier. It's about 6 months within our budget year, but I think it's important that we receive input from the business community and the residents much earlier in our budget so that we can have that input as the staff and council begin to decide some of those budget priorities that we have in the following year and coming up year. And that's my presentation. Thank y'all very much for your time, and I'll look forward to questions at the end. Thank y'all.
Jose, thank you very much. Great information, and obviously the city has jumped in and continues to take a leading role as we navigate. And I always think of all the new isms, pivoting and all the things that we're having to do. And so thank you again for your leadership.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your partnership, Jack.
Absolutely. Next, we have Chuck Stevens, County Manager. And Chuck, thank you as well for being here and all of your countless hours, probably sleepless nights as well. And with that, we will let you get your screen pulled up here and make sure it comes up. I'm stalling a little. There we go. And I will turn it over to you. And again, thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jack, thank you, and thank the chamber for having me. It's been a while. I looked at my calendar. It was June of 2019, I think, was the last time that I was presenting for Eggs and Issues. So it's been a long time. I'm glad to be back. Let me just start by saying thanks to everyone for coming out this morning and happy holidays. I think tonight is the first night of Hanukkah, so I think we are officially into the holiday season. And so with that as the foundation for this presentation, let me just kick it off. Jack, I am going to run my own timer because you get me talking about the county and the employees and all the work that they're doing, and I am bound to go over time. So I'm going to do my best to keep myself on track, but don't hesitate to give me the hook when I go long, because I will probably go long. I want to start by talking about the Board of County Commissioners and the goals, because everything we do at the county, we try to tie back to one of the goals that the county commissioners have provided for us. We meet every year at a board retreat. We take the board and we spend an entire day, and we go and I listen and try to pull out and extract those things that are most important to the Board of County Commissioners. And we did this last year. And so you got to remember, this was before COVID, and you look up at that top bullet, ensure the public health, safety, and welfare. And, when we drafted that goal, I know that none of us had any idea what that was really going to mean as we rolled into February of 2020. I do, before I move off of this slide, I do want to recognize that these goals were established by the board that's currently seated, and that's Commissioner Westendorf, Lackelt, and Church. And as you all know, we're going to lose two of those commissioners here in about 30 days. Commissioners Westendorf and Lackelt are term limited. They've served our community for 8 years, and they've done so, living in the spotlight, being in the public eye, regardless of your politics. That's a tough ask of anyone. And so I know that we're all very appreciative of their service to the community, and we wish them the best as they move on.
Chuck, I'm going to have you.
I'm going to try and talk about each of the goals and some of the accomplishments that we've done, and then look forward into 2021, again, nested within the goals that the Board of County Commissioners have given us. Of course, the unanticipated event of 2020 was the pandemic. And, I'm going to talk about the accomplishments of the county and what the county employees have done throughout the year. And I'm very proud of that. And I'm probably going to be very upbeat about that because there were a lot of accomplishments. But I don't mean to marginalize at all any of the pain or suffering that thousands of Americans have experienced either through illness or loss of family. As I just got a text that says my presentation is not displaying. Is that true for everyone?
If you can you hear me? I was just going to interrupt you, and I'm sorry. The slide didn't advance, so you might need to go to the presentation icon in the bottom right, because we're still looking at the homes. There we go.
Okay, can you see that?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, we'll just do this. I'll try to make it as big as I can. And does that work for everyone?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And thanks for the text. And that was Chief Black from the Fire Protection District that alerted me to that. So thanks. I was saying though, many thousands of Americans have had personal experience with this very deadly disease. And so I don't mean to marginalize or diminish anything that people have experienced because of that, while I highlight some of the accomplishments that the county has experienced in 2020. Our county has worked very hard over the past few years to create a culture of innovation, and it served us especially well in March of this year as we all began to respond to the changes that COVID-19 was bringing about. We had to, Jack, you said pivot a minute ago, kind of in a joking manner, but I'll tell you what, we've had to, that's a word that I don't know that I've ever used before. I've used it a million times in 2020. Every department, every employee in the county has had to learn how to do their job and to deliver services to our citizens in new and sometimes creative and unique ways. And I'm incredibly proud of the work that they've done. And I'll let you read through some of the accomplishments here. I'll highlight some of them. Really proud of the almost $1 million in grants to small businesses that we were able to award through the La Plata Cares program. And I need to absolutely thank Monique over at Local First for her work in helping us implement that program and getting money out to the small businesses. I'd also like to highlight, the board just about 2 weeks ago adopted the budget for 2021, and they made a commitment, and they put that into the budget by doubling the per capita contribution to San Juan Basin Public Health for next year. But one thing that's not on the slide that I really want to highlight is the foundation of any democracy is the ability for our people to come together and participate in a free and fair election. And this election season was unlike any other. And the work of our clerk, Tiffany Lee, I think she's on the call today, and her staff to do all the contingency planning, to be prepared for anything that might have come up on election day or in the days leading up to the election. And to do all of that while implementing the COVID protocols was absolutely outstanding. And the ability for our citizens to know that they can participate in a free, fair election and do so in a safe and secure manner is true. You can't overstate the significance of that. And so I definitely wanted to call out Tiff and her crew for the amazing work that they did during the election there on the first Tuesday in November. Let me see. Okay, so back to public health, safety, and welfare. And again, remember, these were the goals that we established before COVID. So the top bullet there is the Emergency Watershed Protection Program. This was a program that is designed to protect life and property for private citizens, private property, below the burn scar. So in 2018, we had the 416 fire, burned about 56,000 acres. And below that burn scar were a number of homes and structures that were threatened due to flooding. We actually had our first two flooding events in July of 2018 before the fire was even fully contained and under control. And so we've been working since July of 2018 to implement the Emergency Watershed Protection Program. And I'm very excited to say that in September of this year, we closed that out. And here in a couple of slides, I'm going to show you some pictures of what that looks like. The other bullet that I'd like to highlight here from this slide is the permanent weather radar. And I'll talk about that in just a moment as well. And then looking forward to 2021, we have a couple of initiatives that I know are of interest to the community at large. The board allowed me to put a line item in the 2021 budget, which they recently adopted, to let us start working on mitigation of the gun range. The gun range has been in operation there behind the Walmart for many, many years. We know it needs some work. We've never had the opportunity or the resources to really address it. And so we're using our unrestricted fund balance in a very deliberate way to reinvest in our community. So we have a local hiring preference. We're going to get this mitigation done. We hope to hire local engineers, local firms to do the work wherever we can and whenever possible. And we want to try and reinfuse those dollars back into our local economy. This is a slide, I'll give it a second. It might be a delay for it to come up because of the graphics, but this is a slide that illustrates the actual 416 burn scar over here on the right. And then these were the 10 complexes that were identified by the Natural Resources Conservation Service, a federal agency that came out and assessed the area below the burn scar after the fire was contained, and identified, about 143 homes that were at risk of post-fire flooding. Lapata County, we went out to bid in an open and transparent process. We ended up partnering with a local firm, SGM, to help us do some project management to move this incredibly important project along. It took a very long time. It was a very challenging project, but at the end of the day, I know that in 2018, after those first two flooding events in July, people literally weren't comfortable sleeping in their homes because they were afraid. Every time they'd hear rain or any kind of weather event, they were fearful because of what they had seen on the 17th and 24th of July with these mudslides coming through their homes. I'm very happy to say that now, and I'll start some of the pictures, people can rest easy in their homes knowing that the water has been engineered and the hydrology has been engineered in such a way that the water is no longer going to threaten their homes. So here's a before picture, and then here's the after picture, and you can kind of get a sense for some of the incredible work that was done by the entire team that came together, whether it was the NRCS, the federal agency that administers the program, county staff, as well as SGM. And then again, another before picture, and you can see the damage here and the flood and the mud and the debris flows in somebody's front yard. And then this is what it looked like when we were done. So again, incredibly proud and very, very happy. And I know that all the feedback that we're getting from the folks that were a part of this program has been favorable. And I know that people are resting easy in their homes tonight. The radar. This is probably outside of COVID-19 and our response to the pandemic. This is probably the single most important topic in our community based on the number of questions that I get about it is, what's going on with the regional weather radar. So this was highlighted, and if you look at this third bullet really here, this is how this came about. As we were experiencing those first two flooding events in July of 2018, it became apparent very, very quickly that we lacked the ability to provide early warning and notification to citizens because we lack radar coverage in our area. If you look at the graphic here, all these little other donuts with the, the rainbow of colors and all the red, these are radars throughout the region and the coverage areas that they provide. Inside this yellow circle, well, this is us. And as you can see, we do not have sufficient radar coverage. And so the ability of our emergency management team to provide early warning notification to people below the burn scar about potential weather events that could result in flooding was non-existent. So the state helped us out. They leased for us a temporary mobile radar that we put up on Missionary Ridge. We did that for 2 years, 2 summers. We did that in the summer of 18 and then the summer of 2019. And that gave us a stopgap capability. But more importantly, in January of 2019, the Department of Local Affairs awarded La Plata County at their own initiative. We did not ask for this. They awarded us $1.7 million to go out and acquire, engineer, install our own permanent regional weather radar station. And so that's something I like to tell people. I wish that I could come to work every single day, 5 days a week, for 8 or 10 hours a day and do nothing but work on the radar because it's that important to our community. Unfortunately, that's not the case, but we are moving forward. You may have seen an article in the paper not too long ago that said we had successful conversations with Southern Ute Indian Tribe, and Tribal Council has agreed to partner with La Plata County on helping us identify a location. When you're looking to install a permanent weather radar, the location, what do they say in business is location, location, location. Well, when it comes to radar stations, I think that's even more important, because if you don't get it in the right place, you're not going to get the right coverage for what you need. So this is something that we're very excited about. We have had some progress and momentum, and we plan on carrying that forward into the next year. Building citizen awareness, trust, and support last year was a goal of the Board of County Commissioners, and we're going to carry that forward to next year as well. It's really important. One of the things that we want to do is we don't want to always wait until there's a problem or when the county has an ask to reach out and engage our community, whether that's on a specific initiative or a code update or whatever the case may be. We wanted to do a better job in just telling the county story. We have about 420 employees that come to work every single day at the county that work really hard to deliver services. And they all have stories that are amazing. And I could spend the remainder of all of my time here doing nothing but talking about some of the amazing work that our people do, whether it's our road and bridge crew or our Department of Human Services, our Child Protective Services or financial aid or whatever the case may be. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to start communicating in a more deliberate and recurring manner what exactly the county does and how we do it and who the incredible people are that are doing those things. So I hope that every single one of you here in the last 4 or 5 weeks found in your mailbox the very first edition of the La Plata County Connections magazine. We're immensely proud of it. We did exactly what we set out to do. We highlighted some of the employees in the county. We talked about the services that they provide, and really we're just trying to begin some outreach to the community, just to let people know what exactly the county does and the services that we provide for them. Last time I was here, I said it was June of 2019. The very, very, very first question that I got was, when are we going to get Denver TV? So I am so happy to report to you that we have Denver TV. And that was through no accident, of course. In 2016, La Plata County was, I believe, the very first county in the nation to petition the FCC to relieve us of our orphan status. Well, they did that, but it didn't change the dynamics. At that point, then it became a business decision for the carriers, for DirecTV and for Dish Network specifically, as to whether or not they wanted to. They were given the ability to carry Denver TV and broadcast it to our region, but it had to pencil out for them from a business sense. And we were in negotiations with them, and they frankly weren't going very well. And then the pandemic hit, and our Board of County Commissioners, your Board of County Commissioners, seized on that opportunity. You know, when Governor Polis was doing daily press conferences or every other day press conferences, and meanwhile we were watching the governor of New Mexico because of our orphan status, it didn't make any sense. And our commissioners were able to go forward and work very hard. And I'm so pleased to say that you know, in the spring we finally, after forever, we have Denver TV. So you know, what I like to say to the county employees is, you know, when you see a commissioner, thank a commissioner. So anybody who turns on a TV now and sees Denver TV, thank your Board of County Commissioners, because they made that happen through a lot of hard work. We plan on 2021 to doing more of the same. We want to engage our citizens, and we want to do so without a specific ask. We just want to tell our story. We want to highlight all the great work that the employees of the county are doing on any given day. The board has been very, very clear that they want to encourage and diversify economic development. And after many, many years, I'm so incredibly thrilled to report that we have a new land use code. It was not an easy road, and I'm sure many of you are aware of that. It took many years. It took a lot of effort. It took a lot of engagement. In 2020 alone, in spite of COVID-19, in spite of the restrictions that we had for meeting in person, we held over 30 public engagements on the draft land use code so that we could hear from the citizens of La Plata County to understand their values, understand what was important to them, and hear directly from them what they wanted the new land use code to be. And we did that. And in September of 2020, our board had a hearing and adopted the new land use code. And the impact to the business community especially is, you know, it didn't get us all the way to where we wanted to go. The board originally had wanted more traditional Euclidean zoning, which would provide more certainty and predictability for developers. But that's not what the community wanted. The community wanted to stick with a more performance-based zoning code that allowed for compatibility to protect the different districts and the character of those districts. So the staff worked hard. We wrote this code in-house. Our planning department and our attorneys worked on this very hard throughout the year, and we did it in-house, which I'll tell you right now is something that you just don't see. When a county or a municipality goes, unless they have their own dedicated department to do nothing but draft code, you know, you don't do this in-house. But we said we wanted to get this right. We wanted to make sure that our new land use code reflected the values of our community, and so we wrote it in-house. And again, I'm incredibly proud of the effort, and I'm incredibly proud of the land use code itself. And if you haven't read it, I encourage all of you to take a look at it, because it does provide more predictability, more certainty for developers. We do believe we've added tools in there that are going to encourage and stimulate some economic development through our economic development areas. And frankly, it's a lot easier to read. It has a table of contents. The old one didn't even have that. It was very hard to read. It was very confusing. This one, we lay it out. We're proud of the organization. We did a road show in January where I personally went out to the Grange halls in the county, and we did nothing except talk about the table of contents because we didn't have one, and we wanted to get that right. So we put a lot of time and effort into it. We thought really hard about it, and I would love for all of you to go out and read it. I know reading code is probably the last thing you want to do, but you know what? Spend some time over the holidays, and it's a page turner, I promise you. In 2021, the Board of County Commissioners allowed me to put into the budget a line item for La Posta area road improvements. This doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to spend money right away, but the way the county budget cycle works is that if we don't have a line item in the budget, it's very, very difficult for the county to then, you know, have, if the board comes to me and says, hey, here's a project I really want to invest in. If we don't have a line item in the budget, it's really difficult for me then to go get the money and try to find a way to accomplish that goal or that direction. So we know that La Posta is important. We know, I mean, every meeting we go to with whether it's the Economic Development Alliance or anybody who's worried about economic development in our county or business growth in our county, they talk about La Posta. And so we wanted to have a line item in there just so that if we are presented with a creative solution on how we can stimulate development in the La Posta area, we wanted to be ready. And so we put the line item in there. We've got it. We will be ready. I know there are conversations taking place in the economic development arena about what could happen in the La Posta area. And I just want you all to know that La Plata County is postured and ready to be a part of those conversations. And we actually have some resources in the budget. And if there's a creative solution, we're ready to be a community partner. We just had a very brief retreat with the Board of County Commissioners and the two commissioner-elects. And again, heard very loud and very clear from the board at large, whether it's the outgoing commissioners or the incoming, affordable housing is something that they absolutely want to begin addressing starting immediately. So we are going to look hard at that. We're going to look at what we can do as a county to, again, be good community partners and find a way to move the needle on getting some affordable housing into our community. You know, I've got the Gallagher amendment freeze on here. Obviously not a county initiative. That was Amendment B on the recent election, but the county sure is going to benefit from that freeze. So what that is, and I know all of you are very familiar with Gallagher and the ratcheting down of the property taxes, that the effect that Gallagher was having on the counties across the state. What Amendment D and its passage, or B and its passage does for the county is it allows that ratcheting down to stop, which is a great news story for La Plata County. Without getting deep into the numbers, it essentially means about a $1.7 million swing in our favor, meaning $1.7 million additional revenue into the county that we were projecting for 2022 to lose because of the ratcheting down effect of Gallagher. So we're really pleased that Amendment B passed, and we're breathing a sigh of relief for 2022. 2022 was going to be a very challenging year for us. This freeze and Amendment B is allowing us to breathe a little bit easier and give us a little more flexibility. Anybody who's familiar with the downtown area, between Main Avenue and 2nd Avenue here on 11th Street, the old Schluter building, which was recently demoed, and the old main post office building, that's county-owned property, and we've commissioned a study to determine the highest and best use of that property. That is a big chunk of prime real estate right in the downtown area, and the county owns it, and we want to make sure that whatever its future looks like, number one, that we're thinking long-term and that we're not being short-sighted, and two, we want to make sure that we employ this property for the highest and best use of the citizens of La Plata County. The Denier Youth Services Building out in Bodo, adjacent to the jail, has been in the paper recently as well. This is similar to the National Guard Armory that we've converted into the new administrative spaces for our sheriff. The county owned the land that this building was on, but the state owned the building, and the state gave the building back to us here about a month ago. And so now the county owns that building and the land that it sits on. It's adjacent to the jail. And again, we need to have a bit of a public conversation about what the highest and best use of that building is going to be. And there are no shortage of ideas. We've heard a lot of ideas coming from the community, coming from our elected officials. There's lots of great ideas, but we want to be very deliberate and very slow in how we move forward, because we want to make sure that we get this right. In 2021, looking forward, the board has given me some guidance to continue looking at energy efficiency projects and sustainability initiatives, and to continue to look at our master facilities plan. And I think that's all that I had. Jack, my timer says 25 minutes and 30 seconds. So I'm going to stop right there, and I am looking forward to questions.
Well, thank you, Chuck, for the presentation as well, and obviously the due diligence that everyone has gone through this year from the county level. And my hat is getting lost in my background there. So I have a couple questions actually were texted. One was, how do people apply for the Business Relief Fund for water and sewer? And so Jose, I'll let you maybe address that one, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. There we go. So that program has not been officially adopted. It is going to be considered at December 15th. So assuming that it does get adopted by the council, we will have all of that information and do a press release on our website of exactly how to apply for that.
Great, thank you. And another one that I had texted was, has the city or the Urban Renewal Authority, I can't say it either, and the Midtown folks had any discussions with the Town Plaza property owners, including the Krager's family or the Alvarado trust fund that owns Town Plaza? And if so, how are those going? How are those negotiations and discussions going?
I know they've had discussions. I do not know an update on the negotiations of exactly where they're going, but I can, Jack, send you an email and we can send that out if you'd like, after I follow back up with Scott Shine.
Great, thank you. So there were another couple questions. I think you guys can see those. So one is, my question is for Jose on your plans for Six Sigma training, who and when, and isn't this quite expensive? And with natural staff turnover, how does Durango sustain this?
So, I think when you look at Lean Six Sigma, the biggest benefit is that it's one of the trainings, probably the only training that I know of, that you can go learn how to efficiently look at processes and make sure that we're running as efficient as possible and look at cost savings. So is the training expensive? It was within our training budget that we've had with some of our staff members who are interested in going. So it was already an expense that was encumbered for training. This training, though, actually is going to bring a benefit to the organization. An example, me being a Lean Six Sigma black belt for a couple years when I ran a performance office in another city, we were able to save over $339,000 in cost savings, hard savings, as well as 10,200 hours of staff productivity hours. So when I look at this, I look at it as, it's training that's in our budget. We're able to afford it. I can't tell you the exact numbers of where it is, but when we're not traveling, when we're not going out and we have a lot of training budget, it's an opportunity to grab some training that we can bring back that's going to help us with our cost numbers. When I look at the staff turnover, we do have staff turnover and we can't stop that. Sometimes staff does leave, but we're being very pragmatic on how this is being administered. We have, I think, 2 to 3 staff members right now that have 3 staff members have showed an interest. One is going to be kind of leading a performance office, if you will, for our position. So she'll be getting the black belt certification, which is the highest, which would probably be the most expensive. But when you look at the others, we're going to be looking at doing green belts, which is not quite the high of the black belt, understanding that not everybody has to have a black belt. Green belt works on the lean efficiencies as well. And so that's going to be a cost portion on it. So we're being very, very pragmatic when we're doing it. We're not just sending it out to everyone. I'm analyzing when staff members ask if they're interested, why are they interested? What do they plan to bring back? And if they do end up taking it, part of their annual review is going to be, okay, we've invested with you this amount for the training. Show me the savings that you've taken back and that you've brought back that have paid that back.
Well, and I'm going to ask the next question also from Jasper. And Jasper has said, well, the other side of that is, what if you don't train people and they stay and they don't get other experiences, or what, instead of training them and eventually they leave? I know, honestly, from the Chamber's perspective, I went through Institute of Organizational Management training. It's a 4-year program. Some of the best training I've ever had, and allowing me to learn from peers. So thank you for sharing the information, and that it's, as you say, in the budget. So with that, Jasper had asked, and I asked him if the question was answered, but he said, again, the planning strategy and services in the joint city-county planning areas, the Posta Road Development Plan with water, sewer access, and links to Animas Park. So you can talk a little bit about the collaborative efforts that city and county are working on, especially for those areas. One of you can, again, rock, paper, scissors.
I'll give Jose a chance to get a drink of water. He taken the first couple. So yeah, I mean, we recognize La Posta and the Animas Air Park as a prime area where we want to encourage development. We do have a joint planning agreement for that area that's not that old. I think it was adopted in 2014 or 15. So it's not that old. But at the same time, we recognize that we do need to update it. We have had conversations about updating that. And frankly, the last conversation that I had on that was in January, maybe February of this year. And then COVID happened, and I haven't had another conversation. Now, that doesn't mean that the staff isn't having conversations on it. They are. But that one's really going to come down to just prioritizing. Our planning department has a laundry list of things that they need to get done in 2021. Our community development department, our planners especially. This is one of the things we want to get into their queue to get done, or at least start the conversation. But we're just going to have to see what the year brings and what priorities emerge. I am going to have a new board here in just about a month and a half or so, and I need to get to know them a little bit better and see what their priorities are as well. So I know that's kind of a squishy answer, Jasper, but it is what it is. I mean, I think the fact that it was on my slide and I didn't know you were here, I didn't know you were going to ask the question, just as a testimony to the fact that it's on our mind. It is, we've got a line item in the budget. It's on our mind. We're going to do something with it. We want to be good partners, and we are ready and positioned, and we're there.
Jose, anything to add?
Just say ditto. Just kind of being new, it's a little bit hard to kind of get in the details on a lot of these projects, as I'm still, once I came on, we're doing with budget and some other areas, but I do know that I've heard of it. I know that the staff's interested, and we're also just, establishing that relationship with the county, continuing to have those conversations. And I'm, really excited about the possibility of being able to continue to work with Chuck and doing some of these joint ventures for us for the greater good of the community.
Well, it's so encouraging to hear just, it's said in the collaborative efforts again between the city county. So the one question came up, are there any additional development plans for the Night Horse recreation area?
I do believe there's a couple phases I still think that are going through. I don't have that right off the top of my head of where there's going, but I do believe there's still other phases to go through, and it's not quite complete yet. We'll continue to move forward and develop that into a full park as the master plan has.
It's encouraging here, and I just I have to say I used Lake Night Horse more this summer. Had my boat on the water more this summer than I have in the last probably 4 years. And as I say, it was a great place to mental floss and go and just decompress, and reminding everybody to take time to do that. I'm looking to see, I don't see any other questions coming up. So on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce and all of our members, thank you both again for your leadership, for taking the time to give us an update on looking back, and now, back to, hopefully not back to the future, but on to the future, I should say. Speaking of, great work too, side note, with the connectivity from the bridges heading into down into Three Springs, looking at the Durango Mesa Park. I mean, all the things that are going on in our community is exciting, and in spite of all the trials and tribulations, I guess, for lack of words, of COVID and things that we're facing. So thank you, gentlemen, again, from me, from the chamber and the community. We'll get you back. I might be calling on you to have someone keeps telling me maybe we should have eggs over issues, but we'll have you back on. Again, thank you to our sponsors, Bank of Colorado, Durango Area Association of Realtors. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, and congratulations to the Durango Demon football team, bringing back the state championship. I understand there's going to be something, possibly a drive-by parade. You drive by, they wave, going on Saturday. So thank you again, and congratulations to them. I think I've gone through. Rita, we will see you on the golf course, and Kim, good luck keeping me in line. So that's your biggest job. So with that, we'll wrap up Eggs and Issues. Thank you, everybody. Be safe, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.